And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of our Republic, His Excellency Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia. Okay, please be seated. It's my bad, fake news. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of our Republic, His Excellency Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia. The National Anthem. To you, the great God of nations, have we come with gratitude in our hearts. Thank you for obliging us yesterday with your peace and your presence. We ask same for today until the end of our deliberations. And I ask that all will say a big amen. Please be seated. If you're joining us live here at the Accra International Conference Center, on radio, on television, or online, we welcome you to the 3I Africa Summit, where today, through innovation, investment, and impact, we unleash the power of Africa's fintech and digital economic potential. My name is Jerry Ajololo, and on behalf of the organizers of the summit, the Bank of Ghana, the Development Bank Ghana, with support from the Monetary Authority of Singapore through their subsidiary, Elevandi, we welcome you all ever so warmly to day 2. Yesterday was beautiful. We had the full blessing of the President of the Republic and his special guest, the Prime Minister of Grenada. Today we're here to continue in the great work we've begun, and I trust that we will all give our collective efforts to make sure that we achieve the objectives we set out for today. Joining us with great solidarity today is our guest of honor, the Vice President of our Republic. Make welcome His Excellency, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia. He is joined by the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, yours truly, Dr. Ernest Kwamina Yedu Addison. Thank you. We make welcome also joining us the Governor of the Central Bank of Tanzania. Thank you very much for joining us. We're pleased to welcome the Deputy Governors of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afare and Mrs. Elsie Ado Awaji. Thank you. We receive with great delight the Board Chair of the Development Bank Ghana, Dr. Yao Ansu. We make welcome the CEO of the Development Bank Ghana, Mr. Kwamina Duka. Together with you all, Excellencies, heads of diplomatic missions, directors and officials of the central banks of Ghana and Singapore, captains of industry, distinguished speakers, delegates, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, to you all we say Akwaba. This morning we begin with a warm note of welcome, cataloging what happened yesterday. Who better to do it for us than our very own Board Chair of the Development Bank Ghana. Make welcome Dr. Yao Ansu.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure and an honor for us to welcome our esteemed Honorable His Excellency, the Vice President. I don't think in this country one can really talk about digitization without really acknowledging the father or the godfather of digitization since 2017. The man is a visionary. The type of things that he was talking about 7 years ago, it seems like now we are now catching up. And so it's really a great pleasure that despite all the rigors of what he's going, I mean, you all know what he's going through now, doing at least 2 jobs, he decided to find time to join us here today. Your Excellency, I think you would have been proud of what the collaboration between the Bank of Ghana, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and the Development Bank were able to put out yesterday. The governor, I didn't know, has so much pull. He managed to pull about 10 of his colleagues from the continent. And you know, central bank governors are not, very, very busy people, but they came in here and they started the day yesterday morning in capital meet policy session, which was really dynamic and very insightful. And then, of course, there were the deputy governors too. And in the afternoon, the actual kickoff started with our own very governor giving the introduction and giving the vision and the regulatory scope and what needs to be done. This was then followed by our Minister for Finance and Economic Planning, who also reaffirmed his faith and his really commitment to leveraging digitization and in particular fintech as a way forward for the Ghanaian economy. And we also had a very data-filled, inspiring presentation by the former Director General of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, Mr. Ravi Menon, who is now the advisor on climate, and which really painted the prospects of fintech in Africa. And in fact, one of the things I remember is that whereas the rest of the world over the next 20 years or so is supposed to have, the fintech economy is supposed to grow about 6 or 7 times, in Africa it's supposed to be about 13 times. There's a prospect. We have the youth. All we need to do is bring the education together, have the policies in place that attract the entrepreneurs, and we're good to go. And I'm sure the vice president who's spent a lot of time thinking about these things would have a lot to tell us about this. Mr. Ravi was then followed by the Secretary to the Africa Continental Free Trade Union, Mr. Wamkwele, His Excellency, who actually reminded us that what we're doing yesterday and today and tomorrow, in a sense, is a natural progression from what happened, what started in 1963, the launching of the Organization of African Unity, and had a very interesting perspective, trying to tie in this 3I and the whole digitization and fintech revolution as one of the ways of moving away from our colonial economic structures. So that was a very interesting political sovereignty perspective that he gave. And he was followed by the Prime Minister for Grenada. He reminded us not to say Grenada. And he really naturally linked what we're doing here to the African diaspora and what they are doing over there too. And it seems like there's a lot of complementarity and a lot of opportunities for us to collaborate and learn from each other. And of course, our very own president, His Excellency, gave us a very inspiring in terms of his vision for the Ghanaian economy and where fintech and the youth empowerment and the education skills all fall in. So with that, we are now going to hear from the, as I say, the godfather of digitization, fintech, and everything. And then I'm sure I can't wait to hear the perspectives that His Excellency, the Vice President, gave us. So with that, I'm very pleased to welcome you and to look forward to your presentation. Please.
Please, another round of applause, Dr. Yao and Sue. This morning, allow me to also acknowledge in our midst the Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, the Honorable John Rwangomboa. Thank you very much for joining us. We're joined by the President of Singapore, who has a message to share with us on a day like this. Would you please lend your attention to the screen for his message?
Ado of Ghana, Your Excellencies and distinguished guests, my congratulations on the launch of the 3I Africa Summit. This is an occasion to reflect on why both Africa and the world have an interest in the continent achieving its full potential, and an occasion to build momentum in the digital economy and fintech revolutions as enablers of that ambition. We know that Africa's growing young population, which will comprise half of the increase in the world's working age population in the next 15 years, opens up major new possibilities for Africa and for the world too, as Africa becomes a new engine of global growth and a major source for the world's food. We know too that realizing those possibilities will involve transformations that create many more jobs, transformations that at the same time vastly improve yields from the soil and skills and productivity in every sector. Transformations in food systems, in manufacturing, in connectivity, in finance, tourism, and many new services. And importantly too, transformations that unleash and build on the momentum of entrepreneurship that is rippling across the continent. These larger transformations must motivate how we use the potential of digital technologies and fintech to enable digital access and education to fuel the ambition of young people everywhere, and to build interconnected digital hubs to help empower Africa's millions of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, the MSMEs, to thrive. Indeed, Africa's MSMEs are a key untapped source of growth and a driver in achieving the potential for both intra-regional and inter-regional trade opportunities. We have the opportunity now to use digital technologies to help accelerate the growth of MSMEs. First, by putting in place a system for interoperable and trusted digital credentials for all MSMEs so they can deal with governments and financial institutions on a trusted basis. An example is the Universal Trusted Credentials Project, led by the UNDP and several central banks, including the Bank of Ghana. Second, by making each digital infrastructure interoperable across regions and across business and finance functions. Africa's Pan-Africa Payment Settlement System is a good example that allows for instant and secure payments across African nations. And third, by ensuring that digital infrastructures are guided by inclusive and sustainable policies. Among other initiatives, I understand that UNDP is working with international partners on Project Savannah, which will issue a globally harmonized set of ESG reporting metrics that will simplify the ESG reporting process for MSMEs and build network opportunities for them in the green economy. These are each important and complex tasks, but they are achievable with concerted effort and collaboration, including strong public-private partnerships. Singapore is a committed partner with Africa. We will continue to play an active role in supporting and facilitating these moves, and in strengthening the flow of goods, services, and capital between Africa and Asia. Africa's ambition must be the world's ambition. The ambition not simply to catch up or to follow, but to forge a new path forward for its people and for the world. I do hope your deliberations at the 3i Africa Summit will help take forward this ambition, and wish all of you a very fruitful summit. Thank you.
Africa's ambitions must be the world's ambitions. Thank you ever so much, President of Singapore, Your Excellency Shanmugaratnam. I hope that I got that correct. We thank you ever so much. This morning, we acknowledge with gratitude the progress we've made as a nation, chalking various digital firsts in the bid to promote not only financial inclusion, but economic and digital inclusion. This morning, it's my pleasure to present to you a man whose words have translated into works which are tried, tested, and true. Would you please make welcome a leader of digital transformation in Ghana, yours and mine, the Vice President of our Republic, His Excellency, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Thank you very much. Please sit down. Thank you. The Governor of the Bank of Ghana, governors from the Central Bank of Tanzania and Rwanda, deputy governors from the Bank of Ghana and Namibia, and other countries here present, board chairman of DBG and CEO of DBG, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to be participating in this conference, and I'm personally honored to share this day with you as we dialogue to navigate the ever-evolving landscape of financial technology under the 3 I's: innovation, investment, and impact. Today, we delve into the dynamic world of fintech in Africa, a landscape marked by rapid growth, innovation, and immense potential. The fintech industry in Africa has experienced a significant surge over the past decade, driven by technological advancements, rising mobile phone penetration, and a youthful population eager to harness the transformative power of digital technology. In the last 3 decades, African nations have undertaken significant reforms in the formal sector and achieved remarkable strides in macroeconomic management. This progress has translated into economic stability and predictable growth rates in several, in several countries. Furthermore, national economies have become more open, fostering greater trade openness across the continent. A pivotal driver accelerating this growth trajectory is the growing fintech sector. While African consumers and businesses initially hesitated to embrace e-commerce, representing a mere 1% of Africa's $1 trillion economy in 2009, the landscape has since transformed significantly. Recent developments in fintech and mobile financial services have catalyzed rapid growth in online commerce. Recent statistics highlight this shift, projecting online sales in Africa to soar to $75 billion by 2025. Of this amount, an estimated $56 billion is anticipated to stem from consumer spending as digital payment platforms gain traction across developing economies. This is a substantial leap from the $8 billion consumer spending recorded in 2013. The evolving consumer purchasing habits in Africa, increasingly influenced by fintech innovations, are emblematic of the continent's dynamic economic transformation. The fintech sector's role in facilitating digital payments and e-commerce growth spotlights this significance as an impetus to economic development and financial inclusion across Africa. Another remarkable advancement on the continent is the rapid growth in mobile phone usage and the telecommunications sector. The explosive growth, the explosive growth of mobile phone usage in Africa exceeds a mere technological shift. It stands as one of the foremost catalysts driving the fintech revolution across the continent. Currently, Africa is home to over 489 million mobile phone users, and projections suggest that this number could reach a staggering 700 million mobile phone users by 2030. This proliferation of mobile connectivity has created an ecosystem ripe for fintech innovation. As telecommunications infrastructure expands, fintech services are rapidly penetrating previously underserved communities and remote regions. This expansion is fueled by significant investments from stakeholders in both telecommunications and fintech sectors aimed at reinforcing infrastructure and enhancing digital capabilities. The integration of robust telecommunications networks with fintech solutions is democratizing access to financial services, fostering entrepreneurial spirit, and unlocking unprecedented economic opportunities. As Africa continues to embrace this digital transformation, the synergy between telecommunications and fintech will undoubtedly remain a driving force behind the continent's growth. Industry research indicates a remarkable surge in tech startups across Africa, with the number nearly tripling from 2020 to 2021 to reach approximately 5,200 companies. Notably, fintechs comprise just under half of these startups, indicating a significant focus on innovating and responsibly disrupting the financial services sector. Ladies and gentlemen, the rapid development in fintech in Africa spans across multiple segments, from blockchain and cryptocurrency to robo-advisors and payment platforms. Each segment presents unique opportunities and challenges, requiring us to stay agile and adaptable in our approach. In the realm of payments and settlement systems, such as the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System, GIPS, and platforms like M-Pesa in Kenya have revolutionized the way people make payments. These solutions have made financial services more accessible, convenient, and affordable to millions across the continent. Moving on to lending platforms, companies like Branch, Fido, Tala have emerged as key players in bridging the gap and providing quick, convenient loans to individuals and small businesses. In InsurTech, innovators such as Bima and Pula are leveraging mobile technology to offer micro-insurance products tailored to unique needs of the African market. Blockchain and cryptocurrency are also gaining traction on the continent, with startups like Luno, BitPesa leading the charge. The rise of fintech has ushered in transformative changes in the global financial landscape. As technology continues to advance at an unprecedented pace, the financial sector is undergoing a profound transformation, with Africa being no exception. The continent, with its growing population and increasing mobile penetration, presents a fertile ground for fintech innovation. However, alongside the opportunities lie challenges, particularly in the regulatory arena. As new technologies emerge and financial services evolve, regulators are grappling with the task of crafting regulations that present a balance between spurring innovation and ensuring consumer protection. It is given that regulatory authority can hinder growth, deterring startups and investors wary of navigating uncertain legal landscapes. Startups and investors alike are often hesitant to commit resources to ventures in markets where the regulatory environment is uncertain, fearing potential legal repercussions or regulatory hurdles down the line. Despite these challenges, some African countries are taking proactive steps to foster fintech innovation while ensuring regulatory compliance. Ghana and Rwanda, for instance, have emerged as frontrunners in creating conducive environments for fintech startups through the introduction of regulatory sandboxes. This approach allows some startups to experiment and iterate their offerings in real-world setting without the fear of immediate regulatory consequences. It provides regulators with valuable insights into emerging technologies and business models, enabling them to develop informed and effective regulations. For fintech startups, sandboxes offer a unique opportunity to validate their ideas, refine their offerings, and demonstrate their value proposition to potential investors and customers. By participating in a sandbox, startups can gain valuable feedback from regulators, identify potential compliance issues early on, and tailor their products and services to meet regulatory requirements. This not only helps startups navigate the complexities of the regulatory landscape more effectively, but also instills confidence among investors, paving the way for increased investment in the sector. By fostering responsible innovation, these proactive regulatory approaches are shaping a promising future for fintech in Africa. Turning our attention to the investment landscape, we are witnessing a growing interest from investors in fintech and technology startups. This influx of capital highlights the potential of the industry and the confidence investors have in the future. It is insightful to note that the story of technology in Africa is equitably also a fintech story, with a majority of Africa's 10+ unicorns being fintech businesses. From 2021 through 2022, an impressive 40% to 60% of venture capital funding in Africa was channeled towards fintech startups. The fintech eruption unfolding on the continent is certainly catching the attention of both international and local investors. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, research from the industry prominently reveals that Africa is experiencing digital connectivity, remarkable digital connectivity, with over 90% mobile penetration and 88% internet penetration in some countries. To put this in perspective, Sub-Saharan Africa alone has a larger mobile user base than the combined populations of the United States and the United Kingdom. These statistics highlight the continent's digital readiness and further presents a compelling case for the immense potential that Africa holds as a thriving market for technology and fintech innovation. Key trajectories such as digital payments, financial literacy initiatives, and AI-driven solutions are expected to shape the fintech landscape in Africa. By focusing on these areas and investing in research and development, we can unlock new opportunities and drive sustainable growth. However, let me say that in my humble opinion, I believe that there are two critical pillars that African countries need to pay attention to if we are to realize the gains from the fintech revolution. And these are the areas of digital identities and mobile money interoperability internally and across the continent. The path and depth of fintech development for our countries, with or without digital IDs and mobile money interoperability between bank accounts and mobile money accounts, would inevitably be different. I posit that a country with no unique digital ID systems and mobile money interoperability between bank accounts and Momo accounts will ultimately be less financially inclusive. Kenya, for example, had a head start over many countries in the fintech space with M-Pesa. But why is it that Ghana is now the fastest growing mobile money market in Africa and number one in Africa in terms of access to financial inclusion? I believe that absence of unique digital IDs and mobile money interoperability between bank accounts and Momo accounts is a factor we need to pay attention to. We do not want to promote fintech for its own sake. The goal ultimately is to promote financial inclusion, and we must never lose sight of this. How many African countries have a functioning, individualized credit scoring system? Individualized credit scoring does not exist in over 90% of African countries because the data required by credit reference agencies traditionally to undertake individualized credit scoring does not exist for most countries. How do you do credit scoring in the absence of unique identities for the population? How meaningful will credit scoring be in a country where most of the population is excluded from the financial system? For Africa, the role of fintech in credit scoring going forward will be key because traditional credit scoring follows bank-based models. But most of our populations have mobile money accounts and not bank accounts. Credit scoring based on bank accounts will exclude the vast majority of the population and therefore will be systematically insignificant. In Ghana, the central bank has just licensed a new credit reference agency which is going to leverage on mobile money accounts and the unique national ID and other databases to provide credit scores to the adult population. And I believe this is going to be the way for many other African countries. We should not also forget that central bank digital currencies are going to play a very important role in this space. And we have to start thinking, and I know you're already thinking, of the interface between CBDCs and fintech and how this is going to play out. This is definitely the future that we have to start looking at now. Ladies and gentlemen, ultimately, we stand at a pivotal juncture in the evolution of the fintech and tech sectors in Africa, where the choices we make today will profoundly influence our trajectory for years, if not decades, to come. It is imperative that we embrace responsible innovation, creating a balance between pushing technological boundaries and ensuring ethical considerations and regulatory compliance. Moreover, fostering collaboration across various stakeholders, be it governments, financial institutions, tech startups, or investors, is crucial for creating synergies and driving collective growth. Equally important is our investment in nurturing talent and advancing technology. It is imperative that we prioritize education, training and development, investment in cutting-edge technologies and infrastructure to empower our workforce, lead and adapt to the rapid pace of change. In doing so, we can build a resilient and inclusive fintech ecosystem that not only drives economic growth, but also fosters financial inclusion and improves the lives of people across the continent and the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention, and I look forward to our continued collaboration in advancing the fintech industry globally. Thank you very much.
One more time, ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of our Republic, His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Quickly, I would like to invite the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, together with his deputies and all other central bank governors, to please come up for the first photo. All central bank governors, please. I give to you a former deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, now Vice President of our Republic. Please, welcome him home. Let me acknowledge with gratitude the Governor of the Central Bank of Sao Tome and Principe, together with the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Namibia. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Governors. The next picture will be with the partners, DBG, Bank of Ghana, and Elevandi. The partners, DBG, Bank of Ghana, MAS Elevandi. The last photo will be with all speakers for today. All our speakers for today, the next panel and the one after. Please come up. After this picture, I shall ask that the following will take their seats. Begna Gebreyesus, Michael Wallace-Brown, Fadila Tkumba, Kyle Kelhofer, and Professor Olayinka David West. This is where FinTech will have to do family planning. Please put your hands together one more time for the Vice President of our Republic. The first panel, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for the Vice President as he takes his seat. How can we thank you, Mr. Vice President, for such insights that you've shared with us? You've shared with us prospects, challenges, touching on notable players in the ecosystem. What is going to happen now is a panel which would straight away follow from your submissions. Mr. Vice President, we shall first delve into Africa's digital economy policy, incentives, infrastructure, and financing. But we know you have come at great cost and sacrifice, so we thank you for your time. We shall revert with great outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of our Republic, one more time. Our moderator for today is the Associate Dean of the Lagos Business School, Professor Olayinka David West. He is joined in conversation by the following: Begna Gebreyesus, Head, Heavy Industries, Telecoms and Telecom Technology, I beg your pardon, Africa Finance Corporation, AFC. Michael Wallace-Brown is the head, Ericsson Mobile Services Limited. Fadila Tkumba is the Chief Executive Officer, African Business Angel Network, ABAN. For exactly 40 minutes, yours is the topic, Africa's digital economy policy, incentives, infrastructure, financing, and regulation. Take it away.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, so the occupational hazard is I'm always described as a he. So maybe I should start putting my pronouns in front of me, but it's nice to be here. And it's nice to take off on the back of the speech of the Vice President, because I think he set the tone for our conversation today and what we're going to be talking about in this panel. So we have the theme of the conference, which is Unleashing FinTech and Digital for Economic Potential, right? But we can't unleash FinTech if we don't have the digital infrastructure and the digital economy that we need to drive the FinTech infrastructure. So today's conversation, we're going to focus on the digital economy policy. And I don't want to talk about digital economy policy. I think we should be speaking about market enabling policies, because that's the way we're going to have to drive the market and drive industry and growth. And looking at this from 4 different perspectives: incentives, infrastructure, financing, and regulation. So today I have 4 esteemed panelists from different organizations that will share their perspectives from their different perspectives and roles and where they play. So I'll start with you, Kyle. And Kyle, just tell us, the Vice President set around the different